So this right here is a Mac 10 bronzer. It is part of the Radiant collection, one of the new collections that just got added to CS2 a little over a month ago. One of the new skins and collections that you can get as just like your care package drops from leveling up, your weekly drops in CS2. And this is not a very cool skin. This is a Mac 10 bronzer in factory new. You can literally get it for 17 cents on the Steam marketplace right now. Nobody really cares about the skin, but this specific one right here is pretty crazy because it is actually the lowest float skin in all of CS2. So this one is going to sell for a little bit more than 17 cents. So in this video today, we're going to be talking about what the heck is going on with this skin, how much this thing might be worth, and also we're going to be talking about a huge investment mistake to avoid that involves this whole situation that we can hopefully learn from the situation so you guys can not lose a bunch of money and hopefully up your investing game at the same time. But of course, first, just want to mention my cash trading business. If you guys are looking to sell any of your CS2 items, turn them into cold hard cash, crypto, PayPal, whatever payment method you're looking for, we can probably get a deal done. I like to buy anything and everything for the right price, but you guys know we like to get those big deals done. So if you have any expensive skins, gloves, knives, you want to sell bulk cases, maybe even cash out your entire inventory all at once, hit me up and we can get that done safely, effectively, and efficiently. You don't have to worry about getting scammed or anything like that. And by selling to me, you're helping support me, my channel, and my content, which I would appreciate a ton. With that being said, let's get right into this today. So the CS Twitter sphere is being taken over by this new Mac 10 bronzer. Raw CSGO tweeted out, if you know, you know. And we got the Mac 10 bronzer getting played with. We have the AUG Eye of Zapum starting to drown. And we have the Gator Mesh all the way at the bottom of the ocean. Obviously, what we were talking about here is the Gator Mesh, once upon a time, being the lowest float skin in the game and being this really, really cool collector's item, really rare, iconic, awesome thing. The Eye of Zapums ended up passing it up. And now today, a new king is atop of the leaderboard. Again, we have the Karambit Vanilla. You know, this thing was support granted, created by Steam support. Weirdly, it's like the no star 000, whatever. It's forever going to be the lowest float item. It's like, you know, shouldn't really even exist, whatever. We don't really care about that. But as far as gun skins go, the Mac 10 bronzer has now been registered on FloatDB, and we can see here we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros, and then a 10431. So it's got 9 zeros, just like the old AUG Eye of Zapums. And yeah, it's just a little bit lower float. This thing is very, very, very insane. Obviously, this AUG Eye of Zapums was once upon a time a very, very iconic skin. For a couple of months, I made this video talking about people are going crazy over this skin, showcasing this AUG Eye of Zapums, because it was crazy that people didn't think we were going to get this new low float skin maybe ever, maybe for a really long time, whatever. But in November, this thing was finally, existed from the Overpass 2024 collection. I believe it just got pulled from the armory, and it was crazy. And I think people are saying it sold for around $50,000, somewhere in that range. And then, obviously, as you can see here, it got even crazier once Megalodon bought it and decided to turn it into a 5X Cato 14 Nodus Vincier Holocraft, which I believe those stickers were about 10K each. So this turned into a $100,000 skin very, very, very quickly. But now that skin is going to be worth a lot less than $100,000. It was never worth $100,000 anyway, but it's going to be worth a lot less than all the money he spent, because now it is not the number one lowest float skin in the world. It has been passed up by that Mac 10 bronzer, and it's a little bit of a shame because this AUG Eye of Zapums is a much cooler skin at the end of the day, not only because of the 5X Cato craft or whatever, but this is a purple, it's a colorful, interesting AUG skin, whatever. And now all of a sudden we have the lowest float skin in the game being a light blue, or the kind of the lowest rarity. I don't know if it's light blue or white or whatever, but just this skin that's just brown. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's very, very clean. It's insanely factory new, but as far as what the value of this thing is going to be, we really have no idea, because again, Megalodon did buy that other skin for, I don't know, like I said, 30, 40, 50K, something like that. But this one probably won't be as much. It's not as cool. It's not as interesting. And also, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people worried about, new skins coming in and breaking the lowest float now, because we thought that the AUG Eye of Zapums was going to be the lowest float and last a little bit longer than 6 months. But now there's just so many damn people playing CS2, so many new skins being created all the time. Nothing is ever really safe. So this is really, really crazy. But yes, this is our new number one lowest float skin in the game. New number one Mac 10 bronzer was recently found as a new number one skin in the game. Again, 9 zeros, 1 floor. And apparently, according to Float Jitsu, it was the 5th lowest seed for that particular skin. And this comes out to about a 1 in 14.3 billion chance. Again, only the 5th lowest. So even just on this skin alone, there's still 4 potential outcomes that could end up being a lower float. Again, I don't know how long it's going to take to get that. I don't know what we're expecting, whatever. Osni tweeted out the same thing. A new number one low float CS2 skin has been discovered. It beats the previous number one, which is the All Guy of Zappums that dropped just a few months ago. Again, we definitely thought that this thing was going to last longer than 6 months as this lowest float skin. But again, it has already been beaten, which is very, very, very crazy. Megalodon loading up another 4 Kato Hollows as we speak. So that's what's going to be crazy. You know, who is going to purchase this thing? What is the value going to be? What is the market price going to end up being for just a regular old Mac 10 bronzer? Again, typically a 17-cent skin, which could it be worth 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50,000? I don't know. And who's going to end up with it? What are they going to do? Because the interesting thing here is when you actually click on this guy's profile, here's the NNBKL, the guy who owns it. You can see his inventory value is only $11. This is not some huge CS2 skin collector or anything like that. I think I saw Arrow's video. The guy said that he has like 200 hours in CS2 or something like that. And now all of a sudden he potentially has, like I said, a 5-digit skin, a 10, 15, $20,000 skin or whatever. He's going to be getting all kinds of offers. He's going to be people trying to scam him. He's going to get all kinds of crazy things going on. But, he has literally a default inventory of just like regular drops, regular cases, everything like that. And then out of nowhere gets this Mac 10 bronzer literally just from playing the game as his weekly drop. And that's really, really crazy. It's crazy that you even have the potential for something like this to happen in CS2. What game that can you just play and then end up with $15,000 or whatever the heck this thing's going to sell for? It is absolutely insane. People are already talking about this as well. They said, no way he actually did it. Ha ha ha. New craft on the number one skin in the game. 4-time reason hollow. Now, this is obviously fake, but people are saying that, yeah, Megalodon should buy this thing and end up slapping some Kato 14 hollows on it. Honestly, I think this looks pretty clean. This looks pretty cool. And I do think that overall the number one skin in the game should end up being a pretty iconic one. Should be a really cool craft. But like I said, also, there is the very, very real and very, very big risk of this thing getting beaten once again. Again, we expect it'll take a long time. We expect it could take at minimum, months, if not years, maybe ever. Maybe we never see this thing beaten. We really don't know. But we were definitely wrong about how, quickly the Eye of Zappums is going to be beaten. So it's crazy. But again, the main takeaway here and the big thing that I want you guys to take away, obviously, most people will never be dealing with, 5-figure digit skins. Most people are not going to have to, worry about their $100,000 skin that they just put 5 Kato hollows on it getting beaten. But yeah, this is a big, big, big L for Megalodon. Now, Megalodon is this super rich guy. I assume his inventory is private, but maybe it's public. I didn't even know this. I don't think I've ever looked at this guy's inventory. Look, he literally, this is insane. Megalodon literally has 1.1 million total inventory value, and that's not even taking into account crafts and float and all that stuff. But yeah, Megalodon, he's a super rich guy. He's got a ton of money in CS. I'm sure he doesn't care that much. I'm sure he cares about this getting beaten, but he doesn't care about the amount of money or value or whatever that's being lost that much. I'm sure he's just more pissed that he doesn't own the number one skin anymore and that he wasted all this money on this All Guy of Zappums. I don't even know if the Eye of Zappums isn't even in his public inventory right now. So whatever, really crazy. But what we can learn from him, I made a CS2 investing tier list a couple months ago where I talked about my different levels of investments and what make the best investments in CS2 and all that stuff. And in the F tier, at the very, very bottom, what I said was overall some of the worst investments are super niche, super illiquid items, stuff like rare crafts, unique crafts, stuff like low flow items, stuff like special pattern items that, are not like the real true common pattern and stuff like that, because there is just so much risk involved with them. There is so much. The risk to reward ratio just does not make sense, and there's so much that's also outside of your control. Again, buying a super low float skin, you never know when your super low float skin is going to go from number 1 to number 2 to number 5 to number 10. You don't know when your number 2 is going to become a number 5. You don't know when it's even just going to fall off the face of the earth. Or you also there will be different times where the market even cares about low float stuff. There will also be different levels of liquidity, because your thing can be worth a certain amount of money in value or in theory or hypothetically or whatever, but if you can't find a buyer on a specific site that you're selling on or a way that you have access to or whatever, good luck ever cashing that thing out. And then again, while you're attempting to cash it out, the market can move in a bunch of different ways. Trends can change, fads can change, all that stuff. So I do think at the end of the day, a big lesson to learn from this whole thing, like I said, you'll never be dealing, or maybe you will, but you'll probably never be dealing with skins to this scale or at this magnitude or whatever, but you can still learn from this. Because I have people all the time being like, oh, I have the number 2 Ursus Tiger Tooth, whatever, that has a freaking Shrek ear pattern on the backside. Like, this thing's got to be a pretty sick investment. It's got to be worth amazing overpay, blah, 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 blah. And, like, people just want to people get super attached to the items that they own, and people want to attach extra value and extra rarity and be like, this is why this is unique, blah, 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 blah. When really in the CS2 investing world, you're going to make so much more money and you're going to waste a lot less time and you're going to have a lot less stress and pressure and stupid stuff going on if you just stick to the basics. Again, the main things that I'm investing in right now, my biggest winners and the biggest parts of my portfolio, my inventory right now, are stuff like rare cases. Again, look at the graph from rare cases. You don't have, major dips. You don't have, obviously there are some dips here and there, but you don't have a ton of volatility. You don't have a ton of stupid stuff going on. Prisma 2 case, this graph looks amazing. This is just something that generally goes up over time. You have something like the glove case. Again, this is another one with an absolutely insane graph where you can just see over time, it just continues to go up and up and up. And the reason this is the fundamentals make a ton of sense. There is genuine demand. There's people unboxing these. You can go to something like CS2 Case Tracker. I don't know if I still have it pulled up or not, but CS2 Case Tracker, I know I tweeted this out the other day. You have like right here, 36 million cases unboxed in the past month. This makes sense. As an investment, this makes sense. I don't have to risk this. There's not some, it's not like Valve's going to release a new system of getting skins where cases aren't a thing anymore. And, they're not going to release super cases and, like you having a number one low float skin and then now it's not the number one low float anymore. There's not going to be a huge change in demand or whatever. Valve makes a ton of money off people opening loot boxes and gambling on this stuff, and you have a chance to make money off of it. Now, again, you have the other main method of investment and stuff that I do, which is going to be trade-up skins. Again, people love to do trade-ups. People love, there's profitable trade-ups. There's unprofitable trade-ups. People love to gamble. People love to get rid of their old skins. So trade-up skins have decreasing supply and increasing value as people continue to trade up. You have something like the Ultravalence, which is part of the Control collection, which eventually trades up into the blue phosphor. Again, this thing has a really, really nice looking graph. It just kind of goes up. It's just been printing. You have something like the MP9 Black Sand and Field Tested, and a skin that is ugly, that no one should ever care about, but it's part of the clutch collection, and the clutch case is now discontinued, which means there's less and less clutch cases out there, and if people are using this as trade-up fodder or trade-up skins or whatever, the value in theory should increase over time. And guess what? This random field-tested skin is up 67% in the past year. So you don't have to worry or stress about, liquidity issues or your skin remaining the number one low float or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Megalodon, like I said, he's rich. He doesn't care, but if you do care about the value and you do care about increasing your inventory and you're making money and stuff over time, don't mess around with stupid low float or stupid illiquid stuff or stupid niche stuff or stupid pattern stuff or some rare pattern that nobody cares about except for you or the 5 other people out there. Do investments with good fundamentals. Do investments that make sense. I am obviously a big skinner too. I love looking at stuff like this. I think these crazy low float skins are insane. I think it's cool to talk about the hypothetical value and the sales and the craft and all that stuff. And I love a good craft and I love a nice skin. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about investing, if we're talking about making money, I would be staying away from it. And hopefully you can learn from this whole situation where Megalodon spent all this money, thought he had the number one low float skin, thought he was going to be good to go for a little while, but then somebody comes out of nowhere with a Mac 10 bronzer and kind of ruins his whole day, ruins his whole skin, ruins his whole craft. So I hope that doesn't happen to you guys, even if it is at a much smaller scale. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.